Hi guys, welcome back, and hello if you are new. I hope all of you are having a fantastic week. So following on from their whirlwind double release, which was 2018's Vector and 2020's Virus, Haken are now back with their latest album in 2023 in the form of Fauna. Fauna is a concept album, and it's less directly, kind of related to a story as Vector and Virus were, and instead kind of follows the mountains blueprint, essentially. So you have an overarching theme and then individual tracks which represent that theme. Each song represents the animal kingdom, but also has human qualities to it as well. Going one step further though, the animals are mostly either personal to one of the band members or represent a specific event. Love Bite is personified by the Black Widow and is about sort of failed relationships. You've got Taurus, which is personified by a wildebeest, which kind of suggests the idea of migration and how the people who are very much displaced from Ukraine, are kind of represented in that. But I think the most personal has to be Eyes of Ebony, which is a direct ode to Peter Henschel, who was Richard Henschel's father, who sadly passed away in 2021. And the animal there is the white rhinoceros, which is very nearly extinct. And I think it's an interesting concept to go with because it allows for so much experimentation, and really, you can do whatever you want because you're representing all these different animals, all these different themes, ideas, sounds, visuals. So it's a great kind of springboard to start an album. Fauna also represents a lineup change, as this is the first album in 14 years to feature previous keyboardist Peter Jones. His return comes after the departure of Diego Tejeda, I think I've said that right, who very much had a distinct personality. So it was really interesting to see how Peter's kind of keyboards came in and how he sort of, brought his own flair to Haken's sound. The keys are ever present and often holding everything together, and they might be understated, but they are incredibly necessary. And, sometimes they kind of have little breadcrumbs of melody, as you can see on the Alphabet of Me, which kind of slowly but surely builds to the main chorus.
It's time to wake up and die or regenerate.
For me, Fauna, I think, was a bit more of a back to basics kind of approach. And it might be because, the return of Peter, but I just felt a little bit more like it was a band rehearsing, in their practice room, coming up with these kind of ideas. But it also feels very much more succinct. It's not as sort of like distortion heavy as, Virus and Vector, which were very kind of like front-loaded kind of sounds, which was very aggressive and attacking. And of course they're still prog, but I feel like it's been tightened up. There's like even more fat that's been cut from it. And that being said, it's great because I'm a sucker for The Architect and Crystallize and the 15-minute like massive epics. But I like the fact that they've kind of distilled the feeling of what those have, but in like a 9-8 minute kind of vibe. And the closest thing that we get to that for me personally is Elephants Never Forget, which is without a doubt the best song on this album. It's absolutely brilliant, gave me those Crystallized kind of vibes. Really, really, really amazing song. But as much as it might be prog, Haken's secret weapon has always been melody. And Ross Jennings is very much, I think, to do with that. And, the way that he puts his choruses together and the way that it works, in tandem with all of the music as well, really, really makes for that memorability to kind of latch on. And Islands in the Clouds, I think, is one of the best performances of his on the record. It's absolutely brilliant and always kind of brings everything together. I also think, weirdly, there's a lot of stillness and moments of silence on this record. The Alphabet of Me and Sempiternal Beings really kind of enhance that, I think, with the hi-hat kind of playing and then a lot of the clean guitar tapping. It was a bit of a trade-off between the two and made for, really interesting listen. And in a way, I felt like the song was almost deconstructed and then rebuilt, you know, as it sort of went along until we got to the chorus or something like that. And then I think there's also a bit of a dark, somber tone to this album. Really weird, because I probably would have gone for Elephants Never Forget as the album closer, but I feel like Eyes of Ebony, because of the subject matter, is so much more poignant and leaves the album on a more kind of solemn but also very pensive note. And it's actually quite an interesting song to finish with. But don't get me wrong, there's still loads of really kind of heavy moments on here, like Taurus starts with this sort of elasticated harmonic riff, which really kind of, you know, sets the scene for what's to come. And despite this not being the shortest of releases, I think because there's 9 songs, really well thought out, they're not all really long. Some of them are shorter, some of them are longer, they're nicely placed. It always feels like you haven't listened to too much. And equally, I don't think there's anything that feels bloated about this record. Less is more, really, to be honest. But I have to say, my favourite solo on the record has to be from Love Bite, because the way that it's structured, the way it goes back into the chorus, is just brilliant. And that key change is so cool. Haken have tightened up their songwriting even more without sacrificing any of that progressive ability. And much like the animals that it represents, Fauna is exceptionally varied and an absolutely fantastic record. And with that in mind, I'm bringing scores back, and this is a big 9 out of 10 for me. Exceptional record. So I hope you guys enjoyed this album review. Let me know what you think of the video in the comments underneath me. Let me know what you think of the album. Please do hit that like and subscribe button. I've got another review, which is Enslaved's Heimdall album. And other than that, I will see you very, very soon. Take care.